I think he's the best NFL analyst in America. He's a Hall of Famer. He's Steve Young, three-time Super Bowl champ, back on the program. I thought about you with BYU, with your head coach, and perhaps maybe mutual interest with Penn State. So let me ask you the question that Ole Miss LSU have had to deal with. How would you feel if your head coach would happen to take a job while the season's still going on?
Well, first of all, something's really wrong that allows for this kind of madness, so we got to fix that. I don't know, I don't know how to fix it, but you got to fix that. It's insane. It would be super painful. I mean, there's a symbiotic kind of beautiful thing going on between, everything BYU and Kalani and what he's doing. And and I think he has the love for it too. So, the pain would be pretty extreme. I suspect that everything's being done on the other side to try to make sure that everything gets, that he stays. But I guess in some ways, Dan, it's cool that, BYU enters the Big 12 and obviously super competitive and looks like they can do something really, consistently pretty well. That Penn State wants our coach. I think that's a cool thing too in some ways. So I mean, but don't be confused. It would be like ripping. They'd have to rip. They're going to have to rip them from our bloody hands. That's the kind of way I think about it.
And I also thought about you last night, knowing we were going to have you on when Jackson Dart's running the ball, and he decides that he's not going to get out of bounds a little earlier. And his philosophy or his mindset is, hey, I'm going to continue to do this. I'm a football player. It's not soccer. What would you say to Jackson Dart?
Well, some of it, I think, like, as a quarterback, you have to give your teammates a sense that you're in for it all. And, and you're not the toughest guy on the team because, there's always someone tougher, but everyone needs to trust that you are going to be good for it physically, mentally, emotionally. And that's what in the locker room is vital. So I think he's trying to build that kind of, and that's smart, but it's also could be stupid. Like you have to be able to be able to say that and be that, and then yet protect yourself and be, you don't have to ram into linebackers for no reason. You don't have to look for an extra yard when it doesn't matter. And get out of bounds. And everyone on the team would say, Jackson, we appreciate your toughness. We appreciate the way that you want to, represent. But you got to stop and you got to stay healthy. And as a pro player, you really need to learn how to do that. I love when Emmett Smith just say, know when the journey is over, and then get to the ground and be done and move on. And I think that that's something he's going to have to learn while he tries to let everybody know I'm tough. And, there's a fine line that he needs to find.
Well, you can show your toughness by being out there for 17 regular season games. That's really difficult to do just to stay healthy for 17 games. I don't need to add to the degree of difficulty here.
But he's young. He's trying to he wants to be around for a long time. And so in the locker room, because you got to understand, Dan, everybody in the locker room has to go and ram into somebody. And to get that inspiration and have the quarterback be somebody that's willing to put himself at risk is somehow inspiring in some ways. So it's like, again, I get you. And being healthy is the most important thing. And I think that's why I say Jackson can be healthy for 17 weeks, take care of himself, be smart, and give off the representation that he's a tough guy and could be counted on and trusted. So he's just young. He's trying to figure it out, and he's being a little, overzealous, and he needs to figure out how to avoid stupidity. Like stupidity is just you're right. The locker room will. They don't like stupid either. So it's like you got to have it all.
Okay, but take me back when you're beginning your career in San Francisco. You want to prove that you're a tough guy, but part of this was learning how to go through your progressions.
Right.
So you didn't run as often as you did. So I don't know how many designed runs you had with San Francisco.
Not a lot. I mean, and that's what Bill Walsh. I mean, he used to. I'd scramble around and run for a first down or even a touchdown, and I'd go to the sidelines. He goes, "What are you doing?" I'm like, well, I'm scoring. I'm scoring. He goes, yeah, but no one knows where you're going. Like, that's fine for right now, for once. But what are we going to do, like, for the rest of the? And so it's really the same. It's the same thing that Jackson's got to figure out is the game is sophisticated passing from the pocket. That's quarterback. Now, today's quarterback, you have to threat the line of scrimmage with your feet, and you have to go get those free yards. They're everywhere. And I wish I played today. I keep telling you that over and over. It's like it'd be awesome. But again, you've got to develop the sophistication in the pocket, and yet move the football, yet win games, yet So this transition into the pro game and becoming a player that people can count on as a quarterback, it's not for the faint of heart. It's got all kinds of angles on it, and you're bringing up the really important ones.
Do you think you would have rushed for 10,000 yards in today's NFL?
For over a career, no, because I think the game again, it's not a numbers, it's not a totality. You're not gonna, you're not gonna run for 120 yards a game. It's like that's not the game today. The game is still sophisticated passing from the pocket, but again, those spitting out, and even Justin Herbert's realized that. Think about the players that, Joe Burrow realizes that. You have to, especially in the biggest games, your legs are going to go win the football game, especially because it's a closer's league today. It's not, you're in the third quarter of the 10-point lead, like things are looking pretty good. It's like, no, you got people come back from that in 2 minutes in today's game. So it's like the NBA. You have to be a closer, and in that way, that's with your legs. And so it's not 10,000 yards. It's really vital, important, difference-making 2,000, 3,000 yards. You know what I mean? It's not, the numbers aren't going to be like that.
Steve Young, Hall of Famer and former ESPN NFL analyst. What do you see when you look at Drake May?
Someone who gets it. I mean, as a quarterback, that's the best way I could say it. The game makes sense to him. 22 people on a field running around, crazy, chaotic. His brain obviously slows down instead of speeds up. The more crazy it gets.
Is that teachable to slow the brain down? No, it's not. Okay.
That's a genetic. You think about it, Dan. The normal human reaction is, tension, pressure. Your heartbeat goes up, your brain diminishes. It gets focused more, but you don't have the presence. Think about it. When you're under, people are screaming at you, like the pressure diminishes you. It focuses you, but it diminishes you. You're not as present. It's not like you're in your backyard hanging around playing ball. But Patrick Mahomes, for whatever reason, that's how his body reacts to it. And I think to be really good in the game, that has to be a genetic blessing, so that as things get worse and crazier, your brain somehow says, no, we're good. And there's a piece to it. And I think that people always say, well, what makes a great quarterback? I think that's probably the number one or number 1A, number 1B condition that you have to have. And I don't think you learn it. I think you can get better at it. I think things can calm down over time, but I think it's just a genetic reaction to kind of the thing that's happening in front of you, and that's just the pressure that happens. The physical reaction.
Well, Gretzky would talk about how the game slowed down.
Yeah,
and you're talking about hockey, but
Yep.
how do you slow down hockey where you're taking? And he talked about taking snapshots, like it'd be like a quick picture here, quick picture here, quick picture here. And it allowed him to kind of understand, the situation.
I love that. That makes sense to me. That's what it feels like, and I think that's why when people, when you're forced to retire at a young age, no matter what it is, even if Tom Brady's 45, you still have half your life left. You miss it because it's something that is intuitive to you. It's like how hard it is, how difficult it is to be good at it or even great at it. And yet, it all makes sense, and like nothing else in your life can make as much sense. Like the day you retire, the next day you wake up, you're like, what are you good at? Nothing, but what are you great at? This thing. that is amazing. And so that's the Wayne Gretzky. What you just said about him is that's the beauty of when it all kind of slows down and makes sense to you, despite how insane it all is the coolest thing in the world. That's the best.
How good are your Niners?
I mean, how well are they coached? I mean, they lose all their stars on defense, especially. They have people out most of the season on offense. And, all of a sudden, Mac Jones is a guy that everybody wants in the league, just like Sam Darnold was. Look at, it's like, let's just tip our cap to the coaching, number one, and let's tip our cap to the culture of the place, locker room, leadership. Obviously, they've got guys in the room that hold things together. And so, how good are they? Uh, Good enough to threaten and make people really. We talk about a tough out, and they're going to be in the playoffs. I think you can almost count on that. And so, who wants to play the 49ers? I don't know, nobody. So, that's for where they are with the personnel and what's happened. It's pretty remarkable. I think we got to tip our cap to really everyone in the organization right now to be 9-4.
Is Christian McCaffrey a Hall of Famer already?
It feels like it. I mean, he's a guy that he's Roger Craig. Roger Craig was the first guy that I can remember that kind of took the role of running back and then expanded it. And that's what Christian now in the game today, with how many times I talk about the rule changes and how open the field is and how, the innovative minds are the ones that dominate today. That, those innovative minds led by Kyle, Sean McVay, Andy Reid and, Sean Payton were the first ones to kind of really do it all. You need players to go fulfill that innovation, that new space. And that is not an eye back running downhill. It's a back that can do kind of everything and line up everywhere. And every week come up with something a little new that the coaches come up, that is figured out that you can go, perform. Like, yeah, hand it to me. I'll do that. Oh yeah, you need someone to do that? I got you. And that's why, to me, the game changes. The Hall of Fame is about people that change the game, and that when you write the book, you can't write the book without their name in it, and you can't write the book about the game today and running back without Christian McCaffrey.
There was a moment in the Steelers-Bills game where Aaron Rodgers reacted, and it looked like the receiver went the wrong way, and it was supposed to be, maybe an in cut, but Tony Romo pointed it out. He's like, oh, the receiver because Aaron's reaction. How often does that happen, or did that happen to you, where you might change the play, or there's a subtle nuance with it? You got to pick up a signal or a word, and they end up running the wrong route.
Well, first of all, communication out to receivers, especially in audibles, especially, that was at a home game, so that's a little different. But, you're in a dome, and I remember, I'd signal out to Jerry Rice signal, and he'd be like, what? And you're like, you give him a signal, and he's like, I don't understand, and like, said hut, and off we go, and then I'd throw him the ball, and he'd be like, what we're supposed to do? And I'm like, I don't know, but I could just tell where you were going. So I think the thing that happens on the field, very rarely does a guy turn right instead of left. You know what I mean? But the subtlety of the route, especially when you're coming back the ball or protecting the quarterback from interceptions, because as you throw a football, you need people that understand that you need to be the first one to it, despite the fact that the line might say a certain thing. It's all those kind of small, adjustments, and that's why the West Coast offense really started this process, and now I think Peyton Manning really extended it by communication with the receivers that made it so that no matter what happened, there was an adjustment that both knew and subtleties, and now the game is very much about that, and that's why Aaron Rodgers has flourished for so long. So I think Aaron expects himself to be perfect, and he expects everyone around to be perfect, and so some of that reaction is pretty natural.
Which quarterback's under the most pressure to win a Super Bowl this year?
Well, in some ways, Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen. Oh, wow, okay, already we have a list. I'd say Josh Allen, just because Lamar's they're not full force yet. So, but the Bills and where they've been and how they've been really representing the NFL in excellence for a while. Josh is special. He does things, and the game is he's perfect for 2025. He's the prototype, Patrick. And so, yeah, pressure is a funny thing because I don't think he feels that necessarily. It just feels like that's the next mountain to climb, and we got it, and I'm climbing it, and that's why it's not like I have this weight on me and I can't wake up in the morning and I feel like, it's more. I can't wait to get to that mountain that I haven't been able to climb, and I'm going to get there this time. I'm going to be at the top. I'm going to take the picture, the top of Everest with the flag, the camera, and my 4 minutes of fame. It's happening. And so I think I would say Josh is the one that probably feels that the most.
Matthew Stafford, a dinosaur. Is this the last of the pocket passer?
Yeah. Yes. And why I say that is you have to threaten the line of scrimmage. There's too many free yards. Matthew learned the game in a more sophisticated era. And so he takes advantage of that. He learned it when no one was open. The middle of the field was patrolled and, it was a death zone. Flats weren't open all the time. People could hit the quarterback however they wanted to. He learned. And so he's been taking advantage. He's abusing. He's abusing the game today because, and that's why Tom Brady wanted to play forever. That's why Peyton wanted to play forever. That's why Drew Brees wanted to play forever. Because they knew that they had a sophistication that they could take advantage of. And so, yes, Matthew is the last of those guys that are around. And I would say Aaron Rodgers is those two are the last that have been around in a more sophisticated era. And now, but Aaron can always threaten the line of scrimmage, so it's not the same. But the dinosaur is, I'm somebody that's going to throw the ball so spectacularly from the pocket, but I just can't get those yards. It'll eat you up over time. You can't. You might be good. You might even be great, but you can't win Super Bowls and dominate if you're going to start in 2025 as a rookie and not somebody that can go get those yards. It's too hard. You've made the degree of difficulty like an Olympic dive. Like it's what is it? 5? What's the hard dive? 10-0? I can't remember how they do it. What's the Olympic dive?
I look in your office and it doesn't seem
Don't
like
even
there's anything.
Look, it's Christmas time. Let me work. It's like Santa's workshop. Just let it happen. Why you have to start getting personal and like trying to dig at me? Man, I'm just trying to get stuff done.
I'm just looking at, there's no football related stuff there. I didn't know you were going to.
What's right off my head? What is this right here, Dan?
Okay, you got a helmet. That's one thing.
Well,
what else do you got?
It's a museum. You want me to be like a dinosaur? You're trying to dinosaur me. I see what you're saying. It's like we want a museum so we can come in and a wax figure. Like, no, my house is not. If you walked through my house, you would not know I played. I'm not going to burden my kids with that. Like, that's a helmet signed by all the Hall of Famers. Seems kind of special, so we'll just wing that one out. But
yeah, but when your daughters, when they have boyfriends who come over, those dudes want to see what you got here. Let's not kid anybody.
Well, I got the shotgun for that. I mean, I got that up on the wall.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay. So you got your little Santa's workshop there. Okay. All right. You got a little helmet there. Well, that's great. Congratulations on a wonderful career. Thank you.
Well, what I could have been with the Dodgers. I mean, that's where I really screwed up.
Well, my research staff, they had you playing for the Dodgers.
What I could have been, bro.
You could have been a Dodger.
Ohtani before Ohtani.
Thanks for joining us as always.
You're the best, Dan. See you, buddy.
That is Steve Young, Hall of Famer. I think he's the best analyst covering the NFL. Always great to have him on. We'll take a break. We're back after this. Last call for phone calls. What we learned, what's in store tomorrow. Right after this.